Cheers, Charles.
Cheers, Holly.
Very good chatting with you this evening. So we're going to read something old and something newer, and we'll share that with others regardless of how it turns out. We're just going to go with it. So Charles, you can begin with your older piece, and I believe you said it was from 1974?
Summer of 1974, and it started out as mirror magic and turned into Le Matin du Magique. Mirror, mirror on the wall, answer please my questions all, so we can avoid the fall and better build the tower tall. Answers all. Questions tall reflect in each man's crucible. Mirrors have such striking gall. Significant coincidences inevitable. The lighter he is, the higher he goes. The higher he goes, the clearer he sees. Levitation is one key. Suspended animation another can be. The universe in a grain of sand is as a finger to a hand, or a strand of golden hair to the head of a princess fair. Unique systems, each a soul, quite the same yet worlds apart. Two souls are like two crystal stars, or comets flying way past Mars. A glass bead game called nuclear structure works through a law called exclusion. As a bead is added or subtracted, the whole becomes a new combination. Each particle that joins the party is an agent on a mission, evolution promoted by altering the system, and that's on the magician's own admission.
Cool. Thank you, Charles. Okay, I'll read one from, I guess it was around circa 1990, a few years back, and it's called Letting Go. I know that I am over you. We had our ups and downs. For a time it was so good. I felt love without bounds. We were friends. You were a lover. I gave you myself, and yet now I suffer. I think with my heart, and I want you here. It's been a long time, the only thing clear. But it wasn't all flowers, it wasn't all fun. I'd shed gallons of tears by the time it was done. I'll cry and I'll cry. I'll never be sure, because all the bad seems just a blur. Whenever I talk to you now as a friend, I end up confused, wondering why did it end? What we had was a gem, and it's hard to let go. But it's been a long time, and we've had time to grow. In our souls, it's too clear that we've grown apart. It hurts to admit it's time for a new start. What we had was so good while it did last, but I realize now that it's a thing of the past. Teenage angst. And so then we will then read something that's more present, from the present time, something more recently written, and not compare, but just see the difference in how we may have evolved in some ways, or gained from our previous writing, really, I think.
Well, I think that we gain from everything that is previous and that
And all build onto
catapults
each
us
other.
into the future. And the broad topic that we were agreed to write upon was food, which left it very open. And, I guess that you could go nuts perfecting the very best meal that ever existed, even though, fortunately, I would think that we're privileged and blessed to enjoy many good meals. Food and water are two of the basic necessities to keep us alive. Eating and drinking are fundamental. Taste is one of the senses that we can work on. A terrific chef can turn the plainest food into an artistic creation that titillates palate as well as eye and nose. Tasting food is a faculty we can easily cultivate if we are so blessed and privileged. Same with pairing the food with a wine that you savor. As I become more sophisticated in my tastes, seasoning takes on a very important part of the tasteful and attractive canvas, as it were. Also, big quasi-political issues surrounding food, whether to eat meat or change to a plant-based diet. That's one of the suggested means of saving the planet from climate change. That brings up the ethic of killing animals, of breeding animals in manners that are not comfortable to watch for most people. The climate change folk go nuts about the methane as well as the moral question. I love dead animals, cooked if it is properly prepared to my taste, and I don't eat too much. It's a tough call. One of my friends who used to be an avid hunter and is now a vegan sees the herding of animals after the slaughterhouse, in the slaughterhouse, sees it as people being herded into boxcars going to concentration camp, off to meet their death. He notes that dead deer looked up to him, and he didn't see any gratitude or thanks for killing me in the eyes. I doubt if Greta Thunberg is a carnivore. I've been to Lawrence's, watched the process from the pens, the killing floor, right to the hanging, cutting, cleaning, and wrapping. The visuals of the meat industry that so many find disturbing. As a meat eater, I have to accept what is, or quit eating meat. At the same time, taking something into your body, nourishing, is the greatest love that you can show. There you go.
I love food. I'd say, I think of this little song I would sing to my little boy when he was little, so little, in the high chair, and food is good in the tummy to keep him eating.
Well, it's necessary, and it should be an experience that goes with pleasure. I mean, I think that
Yes.
like to kind of
And
learn
like,
what your child likes and cater to him
it's
and
so fun.
wait
Yeah.
till he, you know,
Like part of
something new off your
too
plate.
much, not too little, just the right amount, just
Yeah,
enough.
better too little. because you can always have seconds.
I can read it from printing it. File, well, let me print. See if it'll quickly print. This is from when we spoke on the other recording about cannibalism, isn't it? This is what's brought us to speaking about this, which...
Well, it did. Like, it was the cannibalism that led us to decide on food as a broad topic.
And there it is. So it is 2 pages, but I like how it responds to what Charles has spoken of here. All about food. Food is good in the tummy. Okay, the idea of cannibalism. The idea is ridiculously rich, but to bring up the topic may make you impregnable to future engagements with the same company. Yet, you must admit, it comes down to our weaknesses. Don't you enjoy the occasional juicy burger dripping with smoky tinged barbecue sauce, all dressed up with lettuce and tomato? You hardly notice the marbling of salty animal fat running through the bacon hidden therein. Having known many people who have chosen the vegetarian dietary route, I have explored and given strong considerations to the idea of a meat-free diet. In the beginning, it was a foreign concept. Gradually, my understanding deepened: the ethics, the environmental impact, the health concerns. I opened up to alternatives, questioning the necessity of eating animal flesh. I wondered if it was more about the sauce and seasoning that was on it. From the one vegetarian who brought the tangy beet with vermicelli noodle salad to the potluck, to another who made large claims of being a vegetarian but whose roommate confirmed she lived on Kit Kats and coffee, there is some room for interpretation. I boldly asked the aforementioned vermicelli salad guy, but what about bacon? Is there anything in the veggie world that quite compares? He recommended a text called The Heretic's Feast, adding the suggestion of fried tofu with peanut sauce. It was poor timing for the book. I recall something about gorillas eating the bugs out of the overripe fruits. I tried the tofu suggestion. Not bad, but no comparison to bacon. Does our familial upbringing play a part? Those weekend mornings when beloved uncle came over and made pancakes and bacon? I would bet money it does. As Deborah McNamara, author of Rest, Play, Grow, stated in her parenting keynote address at the Neufeld Conference in 2018, the Holy Grail was in fact a platter shared among a group of people, bringing them closer together. The muffins we ask our mom to bake is because of our connection to the olfactory smells and tastes we associate with the ones we love. My son, as a dinosaur-loving toddler, claimed himself a carnivore. Such a big word coming from such a small person. But would also agree to the title of fruitarian. The ongoing work of nourishing our young, encouraging healthy choices is ongoing, striving for balance and maintaining skepticism of the latest fads. I say keep what works and leave the rest. What works for one may not for another, and this can and does change from day to day. I remember once being home from college and making, God forbid, vegetarian lasagna. I had to actually throw in a side of chicken wings to get the family to go along with it. That was a long time ago now. Times have changed from the days of people joking that the veggie wieners we chose to roast were made from old carrots and broccoli ends. Nowadays, restaurants and the fast food joints have gotten on board even. Whether they've recognized the sustainability of the Beyond Meat protein substitute, or more likely the larger profit margin, vegetarian options are now appearing on every menu. Having more delicious recipes that are fulfilling and do not require meat is the key. It helps if you don't have a lot of food sensitivities, as I've encountered people have to legumes, nuts, dairy, or pickiness. The North American diet does seem to paint us into a bit of a gray corner of blandness. What I have noticed is I would be happy to eat more well-prepared vegetarian meals with all the trimmings, including whole grains, exotic spices, and fresh produce. Having the right chef would indeed help, as I was lucky enough to have during my 5-week tree planting career. I honestly never felt more healthy. I admit I would still miss the succulent nature of meats cooked to perfection. So we got chickens, and I butchered the 5 of them that were bred as meat producers. Private message me if you want to know more about it. They grew wider than they were tall in 2 months. Could hardly carry themselves around, poor things. Free run, except when they needed to be lifted up the ramp into the coop. But the gravy, delicious. These days, I attempt to eat not all meals with meat. Today, I enjoyed hummus with chopped green olives, drizzled in olive oil with carrot sticks. Did you know that combining carrots with beans helps eliminate the unwanted windiness? When I was pregnant, I didn't eat a slice of lunch meat. I used to care a lot more about these things, to the point of not knowing what to eat. Once I ate oatmeal for a month. Another time, strawberries and kiwis was the diet of choice. In both cases, cream was involved. I think probably eating a lighter diet of simply less of most things, more fresh, living, whole foods, and keeping the meat to a minimum. Nibbling on sausage will not only help keep you alive, it is a well-known delicacy around the world. Imagine, you don't even need to know what kind of meat it is. Upon exploration, maybe it really is about the spices after all. We'll make sure we post this one, and thank you to anyone who shows up and listens, and here's what we have to say, and we're open to all and any feedback.
And
way more jazzier and flashier, but for now, bear with us.
oh, no, it's wonderful. Good.
Thank
Good.
you
Thank
again,
you.
Charles.
Yeah.
I'm gonna